Greetings and welcome back, everyone, to episode 19 of Into the Nexus, the Heroes of the Storm podcast. I'm Garrett Weinzerl, and I'm joined as always by Kyle Ferguson. Mr. Ferguson, how are you doing on this lovely Thursday evening?
I'm doing well. I just messed up. I brushed my teeth and then ate some grapes, so that was a bad idea. But other than that, I'm doing fabulous.
I don't... Why is that a problem? I don't know. I hate grapes, so I don't understand the problem.
Oh, you ever drink orange juice after brushing your teeth?
Oh, gotcha. Just juices in general. Plus, okay, I thought like maybe it was a particularly skinny grape, and by that I mean had like really hard skin and it was all stuck in your teeth. Ooh. And thus ruining your... I don't know. This shows you how often I eat grapes.
Well, clearly.
I despise them, sir. Grapes and pickles are two things that just ruin an eating experience for me.
Oh, even on a burger, a good pickle?
Oh, pickles can go straight to hell where they belong.
Oh my goodness. And you know, then with our mutual friend Brian, we can't have a normal burger. He hates tomatoes, which I will never understand.
Oh, that's the other thing I can't stand.
Really?
Raw tomatoes. Dice them up, cook them in with something, make some kind of sauce. Hell yeah. Raw, just big chunk of wetness. Buh. No, thank you. Lettuce, onions. I'm a fan of green peppers on my burger as well.
Okay.
I load it up, but there's no pickles, no ketchup, and no tomato.
Weird.
Yeah.
Even dill?
Can't stand pickle, man. It overpowers everything. It's all I taste whenever there's pickle in something.
Huh.
I think
that wasn't the first mistake I made this week. Because over the weekend, I'm sitting around, I'm wondering, I kind of want to play a new game. All right, so I'll look at Smite. Because, that'll be some decent research for the show, right?
It's fun. Did you play it?
No.
I like Smite.
Because I got confused. First of all, I started looking around Smite. I was like, I don't know about all these gods. It seems kind of, understandably, MOBA archetypes are out there. So the idea that you're going to have Zeus shoot lightning, it's not that far off from just naming a guy in Dota Zeus and having him shoot lightning. So what's the big deal? But it was an initial turnoff for me that made me go, oh, wait, isn't Warframe a MOBA? Which it is not. It is more of, it's like Mass Effect 3 co-op.
Yeah,
forever.
It's like an adventure game.
Right, like Mass Effect multiplayer mixed with Diablo-esque crafting and stuff like that extends the gameplay. So I ended up playing a whole lot of Warframe, which was completely useless for any show I do.
That's all right. You are allowed to play games that you don't do a show about. For example, next week, I feel like I'll probably be playing a shit ton of this game called Destiny that's coming out, and I don't do a show about it.
Yeah.
I might start doing a show about it, who knows, but...
I would be surprised if Warframe had the attention that it's currently getting being on, the new consoles when there isn't much to play. When Destiny comes out and is basically the exact same thing but made by Bungie. And without Evangelion-looking suits, which are cool. But they're a little, too high schooler cool for me at times.
High schooler cool?
Like, cool for cool's sake. Like Abaddon and Dota again, the Dark Rider with the hood up and man, what a badass. Same reason dudes pose in their freaking trench coats, fedoras, and their favorite gun. It's like, well, yeah, I guess that's cool, but grow up a little bit.
It's trying too hard cool as opposed to
exactly.
the effortless cool.
What we really want is a nice Harrison Ford who just happens to be cool no matter what he's doing.
Swagger. He just oozes it, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Scrappiness, even.
A 5 o'clock shadow at 1 in the afternoon can really rock a vest or a torn white button down with a brown leather fedora.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Looks good carrying a machete.
Yeah. Adventurous.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Wow, Destiny comes out next week?
Comes out next week. I'm kind of excited.
Well, you already have the system for it, so it's just sitting there waiting.
That is true. My PS4 has not seen a lot of action the last few weeks. Yeah. So that'll be fun. Anyways, Heroes. It's a game we play, and we get together and talk about it once a week on this here show. I've been playing quite a bit of it this week. I am still riding the hammer train.
Sure.
I think part of it is just to disprove that one dude's email who said stop with the hammer hate. And I'm like, I don't hate hammer. I play a lot of hammer.
Watch me play so much hammer.
Yeah, exactly. We had a phenomenal game on what is it actually called? Blackheart's Bay last night. I have another name for it that is not friendly.
Right.
And I'm not going to
And
say
I
it
think you
here.
use it so often now that you're having trouble not saying the bad version of that, which we're only increasing the curiosity of people, what they think you actually say of it. So at some point, I don't know, maybe we'll make like a Twitter post or something. Just throw it out there so everyone can unlock the mysteries of this horrible phrase you use.
I just hate the map. But we had a wonderful game on it last night.
Yeah, it was, well, some straight up ownage was what it was. So, of course, it was wonderful.
Yep. Yep. Some good stuff. And I was just rocking it as Hammer, man. I even started the game like DC'd and with the AI taking bad talents for me and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, it ended up picking up the cloaked one for you, which is pretty useless.
Yeah, I remember it wasn't until like halfway through the game where I'm sitting at like level 17 or something, and you're just like, well, at least you're cloaked, and then I immediately died. I'm like, yeah, at least I was cloaked.
Refresh my like, what's the one you normally take first level?
Level 1, I take the increased damage at maximum range.
Oh, that seems a bit better.
Yes, especially when you combine it with like graduating range and +2 basic attack range and yada yada yada. It just
and being able to hover and move while you keep things at maximum range.
You just do it with the Sergeant Hammer ridiculous range build. It's absurd. It just snowballs.
I have been more than happy with your Sergeant Hammer lust at the moment because it means I get to play Diablo. And while I'm not quite getting that perfect moment where I pick up the guy and slam him into your range, it's happening enough. It's just not as beautiful as I want it to be.
Yeah. There were a couple of times last night where I'm like, dude, wrong direction. But you can't always get the perfect angle. You never know.
And luckily, Sergeant Hammer has no minimum range, so that's great.
Yeah. None of this siege tank BS from StarCraft.
Yeah, working hard.
Or are they working, am I right? Plus, she can shoot mutalisks in Heroes, which is...
Oh, yeah, that's right.
which just like makes me giggle every time I do it. Anytime I play a Kerrigan who goes mutalisk and I get to shoot it with a damn siege tank.
Zagara.
I get it is Zagara. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, Queen of Blades, right. Queen of Zerg, what have you.
I'm thinking, yeah, she does Zerglings and Ultralisk. I apologize. How dare I?
Both have master skins that get bigger headdresses. Both are in love with Raynor. Whoa.
Are they?
No, I don't think Zagara has
Are you in?
Maybe.
Is this like Into the Nexus TMZ? Zagara has the hots for Jim Raynor. Kerrigan's not too happy.
Queen of Blades herself. Part of her lust for Jim Raynor transferred over into all... And like, oh, poor guy.
Oh, that's wonderful and terrible at the same time. Let's never do that again.
No. Let's stop this StarCraft role play before it starts.
All right, let's do it and get right in the news.
We're on, boys! Ha-ha! Let's liven up this place!
Point me to the stage.
Stay a while and listen.
PAX has come and gone, and it brought with it a whirlwind of dev interviews from the Heroes of the Storm team. Dustin Browder hitting the pavement with his tucked-in T-shirt and had a lot to say on the future of the game. So obviously, there's tons of places out there where you can see the interviews in full. We've got many, many, many links to everything we're talking about today. I just smacked my microphone like a noob. Over at amove.tv/ITN if you want to see the interviews in full. But we're going to talk about quite a few of the highlights here. Like, for example, Browder just saying, stay tuned for Lost Vikings. It's just stay tuned.
Matt, do you remember when they used to do those Disney ABC specials that would run down the new animated movie coming out and how they're working on it? And like, here's half the jokes from the movie and here's the entire plot. You guys are driving the hype hard, and this game's got to come out soon or you are going to make people insane.
Are you telling them they should not inform us of what's coming in the future because stop it so that this show is easier to produce?
That's an interesting way to put it.
Go back into your StarCraft hole where you don't inform us of anything until the week before it happens. That's what you're asking for, Kyle.
Oh, no, I'm so happy they're doing this. I'm happy there's an alpha that we can actually contribute to, that this game is going to be crafted out of what people like and don't like. That's great.
Yep.
But I'm just amazed at the whirlwind presence they've had from convention to convention.
Yeah, absolutely. It started with Hearthstone, and it looks like it's boiling over into all of the other Blizzard games.
Yeah,
maybe not Diablo as much, but I don't follow Diablo as closely. That's one of the Blizzard games where I'm just like, I'm just gonna enjoy it when it comes out. Like the patch this past week, I'm like, oh, holy crap, look at all this awesome stuff in my Diablo. I didn't read up on any of it ahead of time.
Yeah, they were doing the same sort of interview posts and all that sort of things. It's great that you can pick any game and have that community for it.
Yeah, it's good stuff. On the subject of how many heroes they're aiming for, they said that they don't know how many they want to add to the game. Obviously, there's really nothing off the table in terms of Blizzard lore, and they said that a good stopping point is going to be when they are repeating heroes too much. And by repeating heroes, I'm assuming they mean like archetypes and kits.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't think they're going to have like 4 Sylvanuses and be like, oh, this is the 4 Sylvanus guys. We're done.
But wait a minute, what about the runner? You know, in that one stage of Warcraft 3 where you had the one that had no bow and she ran to deliver the message? Well, we can make, and just like, stop there. We don't need to do it.
Right, exactly. So that's good to hear. I think that makes sense. When stuff starts getting redundant, maybe you should stop. But I don't know. How do you feel about this, Kyle? I feel like at some point, there's really, they could stop and then like 6 months down the road be like, oh my God, I just had a great idea for a hero and it doesn't use any of the existing kits.
Sure.
You know, I don't know. I don't see them as at hitting a point of like 75. Okay, we're done forever.
Yeah, I don't really see that point coming anytime soon. What will be interesting is when they get to the point that the game is caught up to their other games, and then do they add heroes that are coming out new? Like, let's say Reaper of Souls is coming out for the first time next week, and they put Malthael in Heroes. Of course, we know that game was great, so we love it. But again, that kind of gets weird at that point.
Yeah, that makes sense. If Titan, whatever Titan is, actually ever comes to the surface, that's another game that could be pulled from. But yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting.
Everyone's mad about the Nexus right now. Titan is the Nexus, you guys. And you better get used to all the flowers and knights because you're going to love it.
Wonderful. They said that there's no plans for Deathwing at the moment as a playable hero because he's too big. But they did say maybe he could be a boss on a battleground instead.
Cool. They also mentioned that they're going to do a StarCraft map. They've heard everybody. We want it. They're going to do it.
Sweet. So okay, good. Are the creeps still going to be dumb little knight dudes? Are we?
I don't know. I would hope not.
I want to see like little Marines running down the lane and little Zerglings running down the other lane.
Right. I mean, we've already got that disconnect. Granted, the Rainer's battlecruiser ability is really nice because it's a shadow, so we're like, oh, right, it's in space. But Rainer is like 3 times taller than any of those dinky knights he's pushing with. So I guess having little dinky Marines next to dinky or giant Tychus wouldn't be an issue. No.
I mean, this is something that they do in Warcraft as well. You have important NPCs who are orcs, but are 5 times the size of the orc player model.
It's like, why is that guy so decorated? Well, he's a main character.
Okay. Hey, why does Varian not look like he was slightly overheated pancake run over by a tractor like all the other human male models?
Wow, very descript. Yeah. Of course, a happy face pancake.
Exactly. Jesus. We're on something goofy tonight. I don't know what's going on.
I would love Deathwing as boss.
Yeah.
Collect the metal, slam it in his skin, pushes down the lane. Great.
You know, his back was a raid boss. Why couldn't Deathwing's body be a battleground itself?
Yeah.
He could just be fighting on Deathwing's back as he flies across Azeroth. Make it happen. They said that Chen has been tuned so that he has to drink his keg in the middle of battle. We were kind of wondering about how all that was going to work, so it's good to hear that was a big consideration when they were balancing him, and that his ultimate may not actually be final. The current incarnation of Chen's ultimate, he splits into 3 separate Chens, and it's designed to give him more survivability. No word on what the different directions they could possibly go, but they just said it. Hey, it's not final, but this is why it is the way it currently is. I said "is" too many times.
It's one of those weird abilities because it's so iconic in Dota now, yet it was his ability in those missions in Warcraft 3. So what do you do?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. His ultimate sounds really cool as it stands. I'm kind of excited to get in there and try it. So
yeah.
and they shed a little more light on Anubarak as well, which I'm excited about because it's probably the one I'm the most excited for out of the 3 new heroes being added. They said that he's going to be a tank hero, so I'm sure a warrior class in heroes speak, with a lot of maneuverability. They said that he also has a line of spikes which stuns enemies, and he excels at being in the enemy DPS area and keeping them away. So
they also put out a couple skins for him, and one of them is a ladybug.
I saw that, and it looks absolutely fabulous. Yeah.
Damn it, you can make Uther a lumberjack, but Anubarak a ladybug. Well, at least on the scale of a ladybug, they are horrible, horrible beasts that are constantly eating poor little critters on the leaves.
You know what it looks like? It looks like something out of that those creepy Alice PC games.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Like it's got that kind of like, yes, it's a ladybug, but it's a very twisted version of a ladybug.
Pharaoh Death Ladybug.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the gold and black striping totally makes him look like a some kind of Egyptian god with ladybug wings. Cause why not?
Why not?
Why not? I'm really excited for Anubarak. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, I want Asmodan. That's what I'm about.
Yep. They also said to expect to see a patch containing one of the new 3 heroes very soon. That'll be Chen, Anubarak, and Asmodan will be one of the 3 new heroes coming very soon, and that the one hero should be released with each patch, and that we'll see these heroes released every 4 to 6 weeks. So start your stopwatch whenever the first hero releases.
Cool. And this is the rhythm they want to get into eventually. So it's a little sad we're not just getting them piled on us, but hopefully that means in 18 weeks maybe we'll have some sort of beta something.
I hope so, man. Like the game feels like it's in a good place, but that's us.
Yeah, well, in 18 weeks, that puts us past BlizzCon. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of announcement they make there.
Yeah. Last week we talked about how they said that, the big thing is moving the alpha build into the beta build is going to be moving it from, a private test server to their live servers. So I'm curious if they're going to wait for these 3 new heroes to be in, or for whenever it's actually stable and can be put on the public servers, they'll just flip the switch and be like, "Hey, beta time."
Yeah, it would have been weird to get Zagara and Murky at the same time, though. It was kind of nice that we had that experiment time with a really broken Murky before we got around to Zagara. Who did we get? We got
Lily and Brightwing at the same time.
That's true. At that time, though, we were not discussing this 4 to 6 weeks constant rollout idea.
True. I don't know. I'm not against it. That if they can keep up with that once they get into the groove, I think that's great. If we're consistently getting one hero every month or month and a half.
Sure.
But if we get like some kind of big gap in between, then I wouldn't mind having 2 or 3 just dropped on us.
Well, particularly when at that end of the month, the 4 to 6 weeks, you have that big reveal and you change the backsplash page and you put up the website, you make it all cool, get it exciting. Everybody, this is Murky Week coming, and people can get into it. And it will feel like more content than it actually is.
Yeah. So, also, you wanted to make a mention because there was another interview with Saya Steve that was just posted on the Heroes Reddit.
Right, as I was frantically reading right before the show. And basically it's saying that when they're looking at what heroes to add, they wonder if they need more monster heroes or humanoid heroes first. Which is an interesting philosophy.
Well, you being the king of, I like monsters and I don't want to be spoiled on games that have monsters, yada, yada, yada. You're very into that. What do you feel?
Yeah, absolutely.
You want to play the monster?
Yeah, you don't want to be in a field of monsters because then you're just another freak. But if you're running around with other humans, that's what's so great about playing Diablo right now is your size and the presence of your hero. And whether or not you were a warrior in the first place, you are now targeted because you have that presence on the map.
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that. That's interesting. I like a good mix.
Yeah.
So, and obviously, Asmodan and Anubarak are cranking the monster level up a bit.
Yeah, most certainly.
There has not been any discussions regarding a free-for-all mode at this time. They said the new modes are something to look at for next year. So
interesting.
Yeah, although every time I look at the calendar, next year doesn't look that far away.
No, it's kind of scary, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going real fast, and I'm planning a wedding. Scary.
Oh dear.
Scary stuff. They said that the team still needs to get on draft mode and ranked mode. They need to get those modes out there. Draft mode will allow you to see which map you are playing on so that you can pick the best composition for that map. I'm surprised this had to be mentioned. I just assumed this was the case.
Right. Having that extra layer of strategy without knowing the map in the background kind of defeats that purpose.
Yeah, if you're going to have multiple battlegrounds, give us that information. Let it be another piece in the puzzle that is Heroes meta.
Right, and that conversation of, what did they veto? What are they picking for this? Oh, team blah, blah, blah. They're finally going for their map of choice.
That's what I always loved about Team League in Stark, or not even Team League, any league in StarCraft, when it came to esports was the discussion about map selection before the game.
Yeah.
We don't have a draft mode in StarCraft, so that's really all the pregame you can get to talk about. That and whatever history the two people going up against each other may or may not have. So
right, and now that conversation is condensed because, again, this game opens up and people are throwing fists at each other already.
Exactly.
There's no wondering which of the 4 bases he may be at.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's also important to note that for the longest time they've been saying this is going to have all the powers of the StarCraft arcade in that you can make your own maps for this eventually.
Really?
So a free-for-all mode could just be something they think is cool, but they're not going to waste production time doing it.
Yeah, I mean, are you interested in a free-for-all? Because
no, that sounds
not.
like a complete cluster F.
Yes, I agree. I have no interest in that. No interest at all. So they talk. Yeah, okay, kind of. Yeah, I have no other point on that. Let the fans make a free-for-all mode and mess around. But
yeah,
I'm not super interested. On the subject of all the things they're bringing in from StarCraft, there will be a replay system, an observer mode. What is a clean game? What does that mean? It says a, quote, clean, end quote, game.
I think that was just part of the phrase they used in the video to say that we are going to make it cleaned up, and there's going to be features that you do not have in the game to observe it, like zooming out further and having all of the bars up top and
Gotcha.
all that sort of thing.
Awesome. Awesome.
Right now in the StarCraft PTR, they're testing Game Heart integrated into the game itself, which is really cool.
Oh, well, bring it on, man, because Game Heart is kind of the established observer UI at this point. Yeah. Do it. Get on it. They said on the subject of esports that things that are good for esports are also good for the game. That the kind of the back and forth between making the game itself and the esports that surrounds it just make for a good game. And also that if esports take off, the dev team will obviously be watching and will be improving things based on professional play, which I expected. This is the StarCraft team. If you're not familiar with it, that's what they do in that game. And that there's also been some discussion on rules for competitive play in a series of team games. Curious what that means.
Okay, so you win, I get to veto a map, and then it gets passed to the other person and that sort of thing.
Yeah, they'd have to build in some type of like tournament mode, though. Maybe not a full-fledged tournament mode, but in your custom games, you pick like a best of X amount, and then that would infer a battleground vetoing system.
Ideally, we're going to have that sort of clan support to do those sort of things, or at least match up a game, and then we can add our rules on top of it. But again, people have been asking for these features for a long time in StarCraft, even in just the 1v1, just going, why can't I, instead of having my ladder ranked based on one game against that random dude, why isn't it best of 3? Why can't I make that choice?
That's a good point. That would be a much larger time investment, though, if you sat down to grind out some ladder in StarCraft.
Oh, sure.
And
sure.
God, in Heroes, too. Imagine if you had to play 3 games, or at least 2 games, to go up, to get your ranking points.
Yeah.
Granted, it would equate out to be 1 game of Dota, unless you're playing on Garden of Terror, which I've still had a couple 40-minute games on this week.
Yeah, there's just something about the first Nightfall. Everyone doesn't give a crap. And nobody goes for the objective.
Nope. I ended up in a game this week against LZ Gamer's team with who else is on there? Idra and Liquid Chef, a couple other guys.
Snowflake.
We got destroyed. Like
on Garden of Terror?
On Garden of Terror, yeah. They weren't pushing lanes. They were controlling the bushes to the top and bottom of the top and bottom lanes.
Well, you got to control your bush.
You do have to control your bush. and like they were doing their damnedest to keep us out of XP range. So like Idra was playing Zeratul in the lane I was in, and he was just stealthing around, and the second I would get in range, he would just pop up and just destroy me, and then Tychus would fly out of the bush and join in. It was, they just ignored the creep waves entirely, and just, they held control of those bushes and didn't let us get in XP range and out-leveled us massively. There was a 5-level disparity by the end of the game.
Wow.
Yeah. Also, our team didn't get 1 kill.
Well, that would explain the XP disparity, but
ridiculous.
Geez.
In my defense, these were 4 other dudes I had never played with before. I met them in a random game that I had soloed into, and we got along great. And they're like, "Hey, let's group up and queue up." And then our second game was against LC's team. I was just like, "No, why, God?"
Well, and again, that's a strategy. Zoning people out, making them afraid of you, certainly is a strategy that wouldn't work in a professional scene when both people are trying to do that anyway.
Right,
and maybe
exactly.
That's a meta that everyone's aiming for. In that case, I mean, that's like getting in the 3v3 World of Warcraft game and just being like, you know what? Let's just rock them. We'll rock them in 2 seconds because our gear's so awesome.
Yeah, exactly. But then you get at the pro level, everyone's on the same page. And, it'd be interesting. I'd like to try it again, knowing that strategy, and see how we could combat it. But, oh, man, it worked real well. I'll tell you that much right now. Anyways, that's fun. On this, Browder and others continued talking about Battlegrounds. They said that the latter Battleground rotation should be around 6 to 8 maps.
Whoa.
Which I thought was big.
Yeah.
But that's because of our pre-knowledge of being in the alpha where we only have 4 maps.
And this is also the rotation. So I think they're going down to 6, but they want a total of 8. They've talked about this in the past.
Okay. And over time, obviously, your map library your battleground library will get very large, like StarCraft.
Right.
Because Steps of War still exists. It'll never be put in the rotation again.
You can play it if you want.
You can play it if you want.
I'm all up in that jungle basin.
Yeah, and if you ever want to play me, I will gladly play you on Steps of War as Terran. Jeez. God, that map would be even more ridiculous now that siege tanks don't have to research siege mode.
But it's so weird too because it's like science these days. We're staring out from Earth at the stars and going, man, I bet those things love to orbit each other. We're probably half wrong about everything. In the future, we're gonna look back and be like, Garden of Terror, what the hell were they thinking? This game is broken. Get that map out of here.
Yeah, absolutely. They said that the team has also heard community feedback on Battlegrounds, and it's likely, we already talked about this, that we'll see something from the StarCraft universe. We kind of brought that up already. They're also looking at the Battleground rotation as being something done every ladder season, not every week, like the hero rotation.
Okay, sure.
And then they go on to say that Battleground seasons will be likely every 3 to 4 months.
Oh.
Which means those seasons are going to be really long.
Yeah.
Really long.
I mean, that's a very StarCraft thing to do, but
Yeah.
I feel like we're once again acquainted to Hearthstone logic, where it's like, and even Diablo logic at this point. Seasons are a month long.
And I love it. It's very black and white. It's like, is it the first? Cool. Give me my card back.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like that better. I feel like I don't like the long seasons as much.
Yeah, I agree. But I guess, well, no, I don't have a guess. I'm sorry. That's long.
Yeah. I hope they rethink that. And looking forward, they said that they want the game to remain accessible to a large audience while keeping depth to the game, that you should still be learning new things after sinking hundreds of hours into it.
Sure.
Which I think is the case. We've been playing the shit out of this game.
Yeah.
And I had a game the other night that ended 39-0. Granted, it was against a pro team. I was not the 39. I was the O.
We're going to talk about the ESV in a little bit, and I saw things I didn't even think about.
Yeah, exactly. They said that body block griefing hasn't been a big problem yet. They still want players to be able to block out enemies. It adds an extra thing for people to think about when playing, but everything is not final. I like body blocking. I don't think that should be taken out. Are people really complaining about that?
Yeah, griefing. That's a strong word, because that is a label in Minecraft. You get that label, like, you are a sinner for the rest of your days. Why are they calling it griefing? I guess it is frustrating, certainly. I feel like because I play Diablo, it's a very important part of what I do, and it's one of the few abilities that I can contribute other than slamming into things and standing in front.
Yeah.
But it is annoying, when you get caught in between two people. And in certain places, it could be a little more clear. There was a very obvious path around Hammer yesterday, and instead Diablo decided to just kind of dance against you for a while. So there's issues in the game that can be fixed before they consider taking away body blocking. That'd be odd.
No, they should not do that. I see that as an integral part of the game.
Right. It's one thing to be like everyone stack on, Purple Diamond because the boss is doing his ability, but I feel like that's so long been a feature of that game that doesn't bother me anymore. But I remember originally when I walked through someone for the first time, I was just like,
oh, you're talking about WoW.
Yeah.
Well, you need that in MMOs because people are dicks. But this is a competitive game that never gets above 10 people in a game at the same time.
Yeah.
So.
And you can't be body blocked by the creeps, which is amazing.
Yeah. It's kind of nice. Stitches versus Pudge. Delicious.
Yeah.
So, they also said Heroes is running on very limited hardware at the moment. Once the team is happy with the stability of the game, it will go into a closed beta and then an open beta. So, cool. Bring it on. That's how Hearthstone worked.
Yep.
And it was pretty nice. So.
And I'm assuming we're going to get the same sort of announcement this year where dude's going to get up there in his Heroes of the Storm shirt and go, everyone, it's coming soon.
So you're saying they're going to piss us off?
Probably. But it's coming soon.
I wanted to go into open beta ASAP. I've still got a lot of friends who weren't in that want to play this damn game, and I want to play with them. So, anyways, again, check out the links to all of these interviews so you can see them in full over at amove.tv/ITN. Abathur is possibly getting a second hero ability. He currently doesn't. He has one. That's it. That's all you can do. Brett, oh man, how do you pronounce this? Trickslayer? Trickslayer?
That sounds as good as I was
going to say it. Had this to say, said that we've noticed a number of players have requested a second heroic for Abathur. The design team is excited about creating another heroic for him and have begun working on some solid ideas. That being said, it'll be some time before we'll be able to share exactly what it'll be. We just want to let everyone know that we're listening and hope to have a second choice that is equally as awesome as Ultimate Evolution. So.
That map presence is just absurd. So really, I feel like if they're going to give him an ability, because right now, what I like to do with Abathur is go all symbiote. And it's all about watching your teammates, jumping on them when they need it, give them the shields, give them the heals, just spec for all that sort of thing. And then when you can contribute the most, you copy someone like a Nova, a damage dealer, and get in there and really just own the fight. The other build that's happening right now is Abathur's Locust, which at the start don't seem like too big of a deal, but if you invest all your talents into them, you can get to a point where I feel like it isn't as strong as doing the symbiote build, but you are pushing with a decent amount of strength. So I'm assuming the second ability is going to be something that further enhances his pushing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to see that too. Maybe he spawns a Swarm host.
That'd be neat.
That would be so dope.
Copies himself and copies the copy and... Wait, no.
What? No.
Abathur versus Abathur games. Let's make it happen. 5-on-5 Abathur.
That would be real silly.
It'd be the most ridiculous thing there is.
Yeah. Okay.
But once we have the new hero ability, we can finally have it make sense. Like infest merc camps. Something along those. Definitely a pushing ability, I think, would be best for him.
Yeah. I like that idea because you're right. At the moment, those are kind of the two builds for Abathur. You have your team buffs and then your lane pushing. But the
or if you just want to take a page right out of Dota Techies, you do a bomb you can control. Because you have the mines that people step on, they go off, and they're kind of nice. But if you could, over the course of a game, burrow over and kind of pile them up, so when that one time comes that someone walks on it, you press the button, they explode.
Huh. I'd be into that. It'd just be a bird baneling.
Yeah.
Just make some bird baneling mines. That'd be great. But, yeah, that's interesting. I'd like to see what they come up with. Also, last week we were talking about the ESV, and we'll be talking about it a little more, but there's another Heroes Pro League coming into the fold here. The Heroes Premier League is set to begin on September 11th. 16 teams will be battling it out over the next 7 weeks to earn their spot in the top 8 and gain entry into the postseason tournament to crown the true champions of the Storm. So yeah, we've got our second Heroes of the Storm eSports League.
Yep, going to be starting up soon. Has 16 teams. Geez, over 7 weeks. Wow. It's funny when these things come out, though, because I feel like they get in a name contest. But we're the Premier League. Oh, well, we're the Super Executive League. And you almost get in that, like, oh, I'm a fry cook specialist now. Excuse me. Situation.
Well, you have to differentiate your league somehow. So
yeah.
If you want to check that out, you can get over to nexuschamp.com and look for the HPL for Heroes Premier League details.
And these are going to be the teams you've been seeing across the other events.
Yep.
Team Snowflake, Tempest, Clairvoyance.
Yeah, they've got looks like equal representation from North America and Europe.
Oh, nice. Mouse Sports.
Yeah, I didn't know Mouse Sports had a team.
Team Empire, nice.
Yeah, good to see some familiar teams in here.
But of course, there's always Playing with Pain is Pain team.
Sorry, Team IKEA? Is this something I'm not aware of?
Sweet. Well, they're Swedish, so it makes sense.
Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, that's so great.
Team Lotus from France. Not exactly representing your country like IKEA, but good try.
Great. Bring it on, man. More leagues, I'm all for more esports in this game. So you watched quite a bit of ESV this week. How's that been going?
It's been going well. They're still struggling with a lot of the technical aspects, and of course, new casters getting acquainted to the game and figuring out what kind of story you can tell here. The current meta is very much, well, like what happened to you the other night. Let's all be real stealthy in the beginning, and let's kind of hide in the bushes and jump out at each other. No one really has physical lane presence. They're too busy moving around looking for ganks. And then once the game gets going, the objectives come so often that people are really moving around as a big death ball piled on top of one another. You have an initiator, someone engages the fight, and if you don't have an initiator, basically both teams just kind of dance and look at each other from betwixt bushes.
Yeah, the whole kind of hanging out and just trying to get a gank off from the bush makes me wonder, do you think they'll ever, change it to where you actually have to be attacking the creeps to get some XP? Because it seems strange to me that you can just sit in a bush and do literally nothing and gain XP for your team.
So there's this thing in MOBA where... Ooh, sorry, a bit of fluff flew in my eye.
I was like, oh my god, is Kyle having a stroke?
Oh, excuse me, just a quick stroke there. So in MOBAs, you have this thing where, and it's real confusing to new players, where they will be attacking the lane, just auto-attacking, killing the creeps, and that's going to push up to the enemy's tower, which is a bad thing. Because once you get in range of the tower, then that means that hero is kind of free to roam in its range, is well protected. There's no way you're getting that gank off. Technically, you're pushing so far towards them that they're going to be getting more XP because you're zoned out by the tower that you can't fight in front of. Now, in Heroes, the maps are so small and the towers are so close together, and you have that wall for one. That's kind of stopping things from going too far back there into a danger zone. That this isn't happening in the first place. But I can see what you're talking about happening.
Yeah,
just
if it becomes
hanging out by them, you don't need last hit, so why hurry things along more than you have to? Right now, the laning phase for me, I very much enjoy it. I get in there, I'm slamming fireballs, getting as much XP as I can because laning phase is so short that my opinion is let's get as much XP out of this short time frame until that first objective happens as possible. It's completely obvious on Blackheart's Bay, because there you have maybe like 3 minutes of laning phase, and then chests open up and the game is over in that.
Everyone fight around the turn-in for the rest of this game.
Yep.
Enjoy.
It is now a hero arena.
Yep. That's fine. That's a good point. So I don't know. I'm just curious. I'm curious if they'll ever do anything like that.
I think we're going to need those, WoW statistic masters coming into the game. Just the sheer amount of raw data that we can get from other sites. I mean, StarCraft has its own sites for tracking yourself. I know Hearthstone has these as well.
Hell yeah.
Where
man. Hearthstats.
Yeah, enter your name and it tracks a bunch of stuff in the background. And with that, we can start getting our own information and thereby deciding what's the best course of action. But right now, it is almost no laning phase. You try to get some ganks in the beginning, roamers everywhere, and then objectives on top of that.
Yeah.
But some of the cool combos I saw were Devouring Maw, basically mixed with anything. I'm not a big fan of Devouring Maw, or I wasn't anyway.
Oh, dude, that is so strong.
I know.
I thought such a strong move.
But you're sitting, you're going after a Zagara who's all by herself, running through the woods, and you walk in that thing, and it's like, whoop, oh, it tickles, and I'm invincible for a bit. Okay.
Yeah,
No
but
big
but
deal.
you know what happened? The Zagara lived where she may have otherwise died.
And in a team fight, she's removing people from the fight.
Exactly. 5v5, boop, now it's a 5v4.
Right. If you get everyone, well, then you're kind of wasting your time. Wait, no. Because that was, again, my opinion before watching these videos is you got everyone. You did, maybe 400 damage to them. It's not that big of a deal. But then you start piling abilities on top of it.
Yeah.
And in this particular instance of Snowflake versus Wildfire, Fire.
Wildfire.
I like Wildflower better, though. It's real quaint.
Be a very dignified pro team name.
Mm-hmm. They were getting ETC to Mosh Pit right on top of it. So the second they popped out, they were all stunned. And this happened again and again. Uther's Divine Storm.
Yep.
And in future games like Snowflake versus Glorious Gaming, you had Zeratul Void Prison doing the exact same thing. So he would throw that out, catch as many people as possible, and then Uther would walk into it, and then I assume he'd just sit there, hit the button over and over
That's
again.
exactly what Idra was doing to us in the game I played against LZ's team. His Void Prison, accuracy was disgusting.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh, he caught the exact 2 people he wanted to get, and the other guy's outside and died. Wow.
It's not like Idra's been through a game where he had to have great zone control with an ability that could perhaps fungal people in place for a time.
Yeah, no, he's
Perhaps.
not a seasoned veteran at all.
That's just, it's rather disgusting. This was also happening with a Mosh Pit Vala Reign of Vengeance combo.
Mosh Pit plus anything just pisses me off. Can I just say that? I read this one in here. I'm like, really, Kyle? You were surprised to see this? Apparently you have not been in my games.
I just don't see a lot of ETC right now. One of the coolest moments I saw was in Symbiote versus Arc Gaming, where Arthas used his Syndragosa. They broke the wall, but all the towers, that second fort was still up, and of course the core behind it. They just Syndragosa through all of it, froze every tower, and froze the core, and they just waltzed in.
So they just rushed the core by using Syndragosa to put everything out of commission.
Exactly.
And then you would be out of the range of the towers behind you, even if it unfrozen, then only taking damage from the core. That's pretty ingenious.
Yeah. Sadly, it didn't work out for them. They respawned. They all came running out, got crazy.
Gotcha.
There was also a cool moment in the Wildfire versus Snowflake game on Garden of Terror, where Wildfire gets completely wiped out. They're down to 1 guy. Snowflake just pushes in. They're at the core. They're wailing on it. And that 1 guy goes and gets the Plant Terror and is able to defend it. Because the release time on that spore you throw out and turn people into useless plants, and the smacks you do for 600 damage, plus the area effect of your potted plant and all those sort of things, just completely zoned them out. They couldn't stay around, and they had to retreat. And eventually everyone got back up, and the game turned around on them.
Awesome.
So a cool idea for when you're in Garden of Terror to maybe even save that plant horror for, the just in case.
Yeah. Yeah, because it spawns right in your base.
I think we're all a little confused about when we should be using the plant horror at the moment.
I just go for it, man, because in so many games I'm in, no one takes it. I'm just like, well, fine. I guess I'll be the Chlorophene tonight.
Right, and we're up to like 200 seeds, and you start getting that idea in your head, like, wait a minute, if we get to 500 seeds, can we all be? Wait, no, you can only have one out at a time.
Yeah.
Maybe we should use these over the course of the game.
That'd be kind of ridiculous, though, if you could do that. It'd be really silly. But, well, that's awesome. I'm glad to see the, Heroes of the Storm eSports are it's coming up. It's already going and running, and we already got our second league coming up. So.
Yep, it's funny to, think about the background, that they're basically going, okay, guys, 1, 2, 3, queue up. And that's how they're making this work at the moment.
And how I want to know how many times they're just like, oh, crap, that's not the team we're supposed to be playing.
Nope, everyone leave?
Well, no, you can't. You can't leave because it's not a. Well, I guess. What happens if I think you still have to beat the AI, don't you?
Yeah, if your whole team leaves.
The whole team leaves. I think I'm pretty sure you still have to beat the AI.
I think so. You win in Dota, but I think you're still stuck against the AI. And then you would tank your hidden MMR in the background, which would actually affect the situation because we assume these pro players are playing at the highest tier right now, which means they have more likely chance to meet up when doing this special OK click play. So if they tank it accidentally, they're actually getting in more chances of fighting random people.
D-Day is in the chat room who, has a pro team and they practice, I think, like 4 or 5 nights a week. And he says, it happens a lot in all caps. A lot. I feel like there's some hidden anger there, D-Day, that you might need to work through.
Okay, so the game does end when the other team leaves. Well, eventually when we have leavers jail, this is going to be a real big problem if we don't have the
custom games by then. What we need is custom games. That's what we need.
Yeah.
So, well, cool. Again, we have links to all of these leagues and VODs in the show notes, so go check that out. Before we go into strategies, I just want to make a mention of our Patreon over at patreon.com/ITN, where we are now up to 24 patrons, Kyle, pledging $293 a month to this show. And it is awesome.
That is awesome. We
thank you guys very, very much. As we mentioned last week, we have already dropped the ads in the intro of our show. And our next goal is at $500, where we will start sticking around after every show on Thursday nights to play a game of Heroes with our patrons and record it and throw the VOD up on the Patreon as well. Right now we do it once a month. Or if we just have extra time after a show, we stick around, play a game with you guys. But we really appreciate all of the support from you guys. It's been wonderful. We've only had the Patreon for 2 weeks. And to already be up just shy of $300 a month for the show is great. It helps us out greatly and lets us dedicate even more time to bringing you a quality show. Thank you guys very much.
And that's really what this is about. I mean, this game is going to be huge. We want to invest more time into it, but we're working individuals. We need to find that time, and you guys allow us to make that extra jump, that extra step to watch, 5 different esports matches and those sort of things.
Friggin' chat room is like, oh, hey, it's 25 now, by the way. Apparently we got 1 patron while we were doing the show.
Oh, awesome. Well, perfect.
So thank you guys very, very much for supporting us over at patreon.com/ITN. Let's talk some strategy, Kyle.
Choose a talent.
Choose a talent.
Talent? Ah, that seems generous.
I have a PhD in PvP.
Welcome to this week's strategy section where we are talking about Nazebo, a.k.a. Witch Doctor, a.k.a. also known as Shaky Naked Man.
Shaky Naked Man.
Shaky Naked Man is back, Kyle.
The one hero that you really question why everyone's treating him like a hero. This guy wanders out. He's got a blow dart, and everyone's just like, save us. Save us, Shaky Naked Man.
He has super hobo powers. Super Hobo is here to save the day in yet another game. Yeah, Witch Doctor and I have a long history together. I wasn't excited about him being in Diablo 3 because I felt like he took the place of my Necromancer, which I much prefer the flavor of than BillyWitchDoctor.com.
You think about the background, you got the barbarian like, grinding the sword, demon hunters fletching the arrows, and everyone's got their pre-game going. And Witch Doctor's sitting there like scooping spiders into jars. Taping some toads to his chest so he can throw them later.
I guess with the right lighting and the right music, scooping spiders in the jars would actually be quite horrifying and menacing. But then you went to the taping toads to his chest, and was like, yeah, that's my issue with Witch Doctor. I have never cared for the aesthetic of Witch Doctor.
Well, and then, you think of like Legolas, he stabs the dude with the arrow in the eye and then shoots the arrow. Like arrows, those can come from dead bodies. That's sweet. Then you think, well, maybe when you log out, Nazebo goes home to his spider farm where he is farming spiders and then ceramics all night, and it gets pretty long-winded.
Exactly, Kyle. But nonetheless, he's I see a lot of Witch Doctor played in Heroes of the Storm. He's obviously very popular. You love him in both Heroes and in Diablo. Yeah,
which is why I want to talk about him this week, because seasons in Diablo, heck, I made another Witch Doctor because that's what I'm about. So he's been on my mind. He's my main solo player just because I feel like he can contribute in so many different ways. You can be that merc guy. You can be the damage deal. You can be a pseudo support, and you can really hold your own well with his voodoo ritual.
Which one's voodoo ritual?
So all in the background. First of all, I just got to throw this out there, everyone. I'm a Venomancer at heart for Dota. I love poison damage. I think I am the biggest 90s action hero badass, throwing up poison and then walking away, putting on my sunglasses, never looking back, and killing spree, people dying behind me because I'm not watching. I'm too busy running because I'm a pansy, but you're poisoned.
So you play an engineer in Team Fortress.
I do. How'd you know?
Because I do, and I love the feeling of turrets getting kills for me.
Right, and you're just spawning somewhere upstairs, and there's rockets hitting some dude in the face.
He's like, hell yeah, eat it.
I just love auto turrets too.
Voodoo Ritual is his trait. It's his passive, which ability to attack damage poisons enemies for 20 additional damage over 4 seconds. If a poisoned enemy dies, he gets 1.95 health and 1% mana regenerated. And it is quite the nice talent. I have ignored Witch Doctor entirely. I've had no interest in playing with him in Heroes for the previously stated reasons. I just don't really care for the aesthetic. So I made it a point to play him this week, and I don't like him. I don't like him at all. Nope. For all the same reasons I don't like him in Diablo. I just don't like how he feels.
Well, good. Maybe I can sell you over the course of this.
Okay.
I'm doubting it because you're a strong decision man.
I am. I have opinions.
That's why you do podcasts.
And they are carved in stone, sir.
They must be heard.
Yeah, no. He doesn't seem like he's my jam, but go ahead. What do you...
So my favorite thing about Witch Doctor from the beginning is the fact that his voodoo ritual does poison damage, so I'm already sold, but also regenerates health and mana whenever you get a kill, not only on heroes, but just creeps. So this means that from the second you walk out of the box, you can start casting your spiders, your frogs, anything that deals damage on creeps because you're getting mana back by getting those kills. So you're instantly active. And you're probably not going to run out of mana. In fact, I often pick Death Ritual, which gives you more mana per second.
Yeah. Yeah, I did notice that, and it was quite nice.
And depending on the map, you can take Blood Ritual, which is... Oh, I got those backwards. So you take Blood Ritual for the bonus regen. Take Death Ritual so you get permanent health and mana whenever you get a kill, even on creeps. So if you're in a map where there's a long laning phase, you can really kind of stack up some extra points. You can be getting a lot of XP, constantly using your abilities. This also means you have those extra mana points to, throw some frogs at a tower, for instance.
Yeah. Now, the issue I had with him is I felt like I was dying constantly. And while Ravenous Spirit does an obscene amount of damage, you're just out, man. You're out for the count, and you better hope you don't die in the process.
Yeah, so Ravenous Spirit is one of his options for his heroic ability at level 10.
Which I was like, this is it, man. Every time I play a freaking Witch Doctor, I hate seeing this thing. I run for the hills. But when I do it, everyone just charges me and kills me.
It has a decent range, though, so you can kind of hide yourself behind a wall or throw yourself in a bush. Once you get to level 20, it has a really good range, so you can stay out of trouble pretty well.
Okay.
Gargantuan, his other option, is definitely if you're being that merc guy, or if you're behind, really. I pick Gargantuan because he's going to be an extra presence, allow you to push back a little more. Ravenous Spirit just makes you a target, and anything that pushes you interrupts it. So Diablo's push. There's another, Tyrael actually has a lot of push abilities he can get through talents, which makes him really popular against a wide range of heroes right now.
Right.
One of my favorite things to do with Nazeebo in the first place is Zombie Wall, which, guys, you made the zombies dogs, but now we have zombie walls. Why weren't they dog zombie walls, but you didn't let me have normal zombies in the Diablo 3? Anyway, design team.
You're getting a bit personal, Kyle.
And your Hydralists.
It would make no sense for something that is slightly higher than your knee to be a wall.
Dude, I'm terrified of dogs. I wouldn't go anywhere near that wall. But you can use the zombie wall. It's actually the perfect size to block off an entire enemy wall so they can't escape.
Yep.
So they're trying to run back. They're trying to get in their tower range.
You don't even
you could trap them in the middle of it like a huge boss, but there's always the chance that you could catch a friend.
Oh,
which I guess at this point,
I've never seen that happen, other than every time I've ever played with a witch doctor in any game ever, including you.
No, witch doctors never make mistakes at all. Zombie wall can be deactivated. You can hit the W button a second time to bring it down. So you only keep them in place for an extra second. But yeah, there's a lot of chances to screw up. So my favorite thing to do is to use it to block the walls so people can't escape, or use them in more strategic positions to zone people out rather than trap people inside, because it just gets kind of dangerous.
Yeah, I did notice a lot of melee heroes when they would close on me. If I was at full health, I would be like, okay, I hit the zombie wall and I would wait for it to come up before I retreated, and I would get him every time.
And you get pretty good at this.
You have to be at full health, though.
Dropping it exactly on yourself, and then your movement carries you outside of it before it pops up.
Yep.
If you're just starting out on Nazeebo, you do need to know that your zombie wall, its little circle, its cast range, is visible to everyone. Everyone gets to know that zombie wall is going to pop up in a moment. It's not a big surprise.
No, but I mean, it does take. You need to be on top of yourself to avoid it. So,
right.
Because it's a short delay from when it pops up. So.
His other ability, Corpse Spiders, throw in those jars of spiders, does a surprising amount of damage over the course of the game. But I feel like the most important part is they can't be targeted, and they do bits of damage that count as interrupts if someone is channeling, objective or something.
Yeah, because it's not like Zagara where you can target her banelings or her roaches. Or
even,
Hydralists.
there's a lot of characters with the poison ability where you put a pretty substantial poison on them, but that sort of damage doesn't count as an interrupt for those turn-ins.
Right, but the corpse spiders do. And I distinctly remember watching you run for your life away from spiders last night while you were playing Diablo, because you had like 18 health left after a big team fight. And you ran all the way back into the main base.
Yep, just got some little spiders chasing Diablo.
I was
Lord
dead.
of Terror here coming through.
I was dead, so I was watching this and just like, don't stop running, Kyle. Nothing like watching Satan himself flee from 3 tiny spiders.
They do a lot of damage, and you can really spec into them over the course of the game.
Yeah, no, they do hurt.
His other ability, Plague of Toads, you can really augment this to be pumping out a lot of damage.
Or additional spiders.
Yeah, or spiders if that's what you're into. You can stuff spiders in your toads that are strapped to your chest from your jars.
Yo, dog, I heard you like spiders, so we put spiders inside of your toads. So
it has a really great range. It's a perfect sort of fan effect for hitting both the wall and the 2 towers. You can get a lot of pushing done early on.
Yeah, it's got a very wide cone at its max range.
Other notable abilities in there, he's got Gathering Power, which I'm not sure is on anyone else. It's actually on 3 other heroes. But the more heroes you kill, the more damage your abilities are going to do.
Yeah, it was funny because I had never seen this before because I had never played Witch Doctor before, and I'm trying to find the other heroes it's on.
It's on Murky, Falstad, and Zeratul.
Okay, so it's on all the heroes I don't really play. So that's why.
But Zeratul makes a lot of sense, and that's scary.
Yeah, that's kind of terrifying.
Falstad as well. Murky, that's a bit odd, but...
I played Murky for the first time in a very long time this past week. He's kind of fun. I think I'm going to stop hating on Murky. He's actually pretty fun to play.
I have a lot more respect for Murkies now that it's not a do your own thing, push the towers.
Yeah,
event.
if you go for, team fight spec, like, it's kind of fun. You get in there and slime, and you got a good placement on your eggs so you can die and just keep coming back. And
Yeah.
yeah, I like me some Murky. I don't hate it as much. Don't knock until you try it, people.
Rewind, always a fun one. He's got some long cooldowns, so if you're up for the extra button pushes, Rewind can be extremely powerful. I like Dead Rush at level 13, where your zombie wall then gets up and for 3 seconds turns into pushing zombies. It's really great against those mercs. It's just a lot of fun, and it looks cool.
Yeah, I like that one a lot, too.
When I'm feeling more on top of my game, it's all about Rewind. This allows you to refresh all your cooldowns of your basic abilities. And because you throw your spiders, you throw out the frogs, and then you pop the zombies, you can be sitting there for another 7 seconds with nothing to cast.
Yeah, so you pop that again and you just double up on everything. That's a lot of added damage into a team fight.
His alternative 20s, he's got the Swift Storm, which has become a bit weird. Currently, it's that you cannot be dismounted from damage, and you increase your mount speed by 20%. I sometimes take this when I take Annihilating Spirit or Ravenous Spirit, because the level 20 augmentation for Ravenous Spirit, his big ghost that runs around destroying everything, only increases the damage and its movement speed. Granted, those could catch you some extra kills.
Well, and it's not even the damage. It only improves the range and the movement speed.
Oh, did I say damage? That's what I meant. I was trying to play it down and I said the wrong thing.
Yeah, no, if it increases damage, that's a good thing, but it doesn't.
Right, it'd just be an auto pick. But since it's range, it doesn't, sometimes you're doing really well and you don't need any more spirit than you already got. With the Gargantuan, though, it makes it a constant passive pet that's always around, and that's wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. Gargantuan's terrifying. I hate seeing that thing come up. It's like, no, go away. Stay away from me.
It's level 20 slam. I mean, it stuns you. And that can be extremely surprising when you're only looking at heroes and then all of a sudden this zombie pops up next to you and you're stuck there. It's like when the golem's pushing down the lane, you're like, we got this. And then you get caught in the roots and half your health is gone. And then the enemy team shows up.
Yeah. Listeners out there, by the way, if sell me on Swiftstorm if you actually pick this, because I can think of any reason why I would ever want to take this.
I took it a lot when I would take Ravenous Spirit before it was changed, because it used to be increased mount speed and hearth speed. So you could get to where you're going faster.
I'd rather have Bolt of the Storm, man. I'd rather have Teleport.
Bolt of the Storm is powerful. The short range blink, probably going to save your life a few times. It's not quite as offensive as it can be with someone like Diablo, where jumping that extra distance when people aren't expecting you to suddenly be there and getting that slam and that push down is just incredible.
Oh, I never take Bolt as an offensive ability. I always have it for, hey, this will increase my life. That's why I take it.
And for the most part, it's on people like that. I mean, you got Brightwing, Abathur, Lily, Murky, all these people have options for it. Only people like, Stitches, that'll blow your mind. And it is disgusting to have a level 20 Stitches jump at you, eat you, use sprint to dash away.
Yep.
And you're halfway across the map before you get pooped out of there.
Yeah, I like Bolt of the Storm, though, so I'm a little biased. So, yeah, I don't know.
No opinion change?
You haven't sold me, really. I'm confused as to why I don't like him as much, because I love Zagara. And Zagara is all about, just minions do my bidding. But I don't know.
Well, he's not minion-y. It's very much like Zagara's Banelings. They're not Banelings. They're not really physical units.
Well, they are, because they can be targeted and attacked, whereas the Witch Doctors cannot.
Right, but
maybe that's what I like about it, is it creates an extra target with Zagara. All of her things create extra targets.
Yeah.
Whereas Witch Doctor, it's just things that need to be run away from. They do a lot of damage, but I don't know. It's just not he's not my bag, baby.
That's okay. Allow myself to introduce myself.
Yeah.
Well, and you said you weren't down on his lore. I'm looking forward to his updated model. He's one of the few that is still sporting his original digs. And in all the pictures we have of him from, all the press releases and all, it's his real face behind that mask. It's not a mask face. So I'm interested to know how he's going to be looking. And we don't have a master skin for him yet either, which probably just means he's going to have an even bigger headdress.
He'll be shaking even more and be
shaking.
Slightly more naked.
Some spikes. Wow. More naked shaking. Wow. True mastery has been unlocked.
Yeah, sorry, Nazebo. Not converting me today.
Nah, I'll continue to love him. If there was one map I could just not be Nazebo on, it would be Blackheart's Bay, because there's so much push power there. All that, great stuff about regenerating mana from killing creeps. You ain't killing many creeps on that map.
Nope. No, you are not. But we'll always have Arise Chicken Arise.
Darkness stopped calling.
Hold on. Darkness just texted me.
Okay, tell them I'm not here.
It's time for your emails, ladies and gentlemen. Send them to itncast@gmail.com. Seriously, sell me on Swiftstorm. I want to hear from you. Quasar writes in. Quasar, you were from ye old StarCast days. We met him at MLG Orlando.
Oh, bringing me back.
Yeah. He writes, Dear StarCast, I mean, Into the Nexus.
What? How could you be confused? This show is nothing. Well, I guess the hosts are the same. The structure's the same. The game's different. Nothing's the same.
He says, last week you guys talked about how the team working on Heroes is also the StarCraft team or some part of it, and that they wanted every talent to be viable in certain situations and hopefully on certain maps as well. I think that this is perfect to add complexity to the game that you can't necessarily find in traditional MOBAs. Granted, I won't be able to hide a Dark Shrine for a DT rush, but I look forward to people moving toward the mindset of each map allows for different team comps and strategies to be favored over others. I mean, nobody plays every StarCraft map the same way, even in the same matchup, unless you played Protoss for the first year of release. I'm looking at you, 4Gate. Oh man, Quasar, you are just like pouring StarCraft 2 nostalgia all over us right now. He says, hopefully we don't get any maps where they are incredibly unbalanced for certain races/heroes. Looking at you, Kulos Ravine /Steps of War. Oh, the Steps of War reference.
Nice, carrying it through.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for the show, as I have been able to play much lately. Will, a.k.a. Quasar. Well, thanks for writing in, Quasar. Good to hear from you, by the way. Yeah, I agree with everything you wrote here. And for I think a lot of the same reasons why multiple maps makes StarCraft more interesting to watch, it will make Heroes more interesting to watch. Well, and play, for that matter.
Well, and you're looking at, 8 tiers of abilities where you're picking out different things for yourself. I guess it's 7, divided up over 20 levels. And there's usually 4 choices, 5. Some people only have 3, but I'm sure they'll fill it out as they go. And a lot of these add those extra abilities that are only useful on a certain map. Or maybe you only pick it when the enemy has gone a certain composition. And that's great. And I think it's going to be real cool to see those specifics. And it's also going to leave that what if open wide enough that people can have their own experiments in the game rather than, I'm going to go grab a build, guys, be right back.
Yeah. I don't necessarily love that. I'm glad I can do that in games like Dota where I'm not nearly as familiar, but I really hope they achieve what they're out to do and we get these build or talents and whatnot that are really good depending on the situation.
Well, and I feel like it's really exciting for Hearthstone players right now where some other deck, like Hunter, just becomes amazing. And everyone gets to switch around their deck and be like, cool, well, if I'm facing Hunters like 50% of the time, I'm going to change out these cards. And since it's never going to be, a static one-on-one environment on the same board without any effects, these things are constantly going to come into play. There are some abilities that I straight up do not pick because of enemy compositions.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm constantly flipping back and forth between Cinder Ghost and Army of the Dead on Arthas. I always go for Army if we're light on healing or if I don't trust the healer. But I go for Cinder Ghost if we're coordinated, all talking to the other, and we have a good support. And that carries over into a lot of other heroes as well. The only one is like Hammer and Vala, more or less. I pretty much play the same build every time, but
yeah,
a lot of the
granted, that's all about damage. Like Nova, I feel her opening picks are very much personal preference.
Yep. Although even with Vala, if we don't have a lot of heals, I'll probably go, I'll dip into a little more lifesteal than I might usually. So
sure,
there's options to be picked. So thanks for your email, Quasar. Our next email comes to us from Ed, who writes, "Hey ITN, please keep talking about other MOBAs for comparison until we can play the actual game." This is in response to last week. Had one of our listeners saying that they don't like that we constantly bring up Dota as a comparison, and I said I think it's a good thing because there's a lot of people who aren't playing the game, and I like the fact that we can compare it to something that people can actually play. Ed continues to write, "In fact, it might be nice if you had a LoL playing guest in there to draw some parallels from that game. Most of the Dota references go over my head." He also said, "FYI, there are 4 types of hooks." This is also something that was mentioned on last week's episode. They're visually different. There are hooks, electric chains, anchors, etc. There is even a friendly hook that is a lantern with a beam of light connecting the support character with a point on the map. Allies can collect the lantern for a teleport to your location. Good for saving lives in trouble or for pulling in the jungler for a quick gank. Keep up the good work, Ed. P.S. If you want to check out the League of Legends hook champs for reference, they are Blitzcrank, LeBlanc, Nautilus, and Thresh. There might even be others with similar mechanics I am forgetting.
Did you happen to see those League of Legends statues that were at PAX?
I don't think I would have known they were League of Legends statues if I had even seen them.
Right. I only noticed it because I was on Reddit. I'm like, what's with the giant teddy bear and little girl? But they look awesome. Seriously, man. Like, Blizzard has its statues at BlizzCon. They did the same thing for League of Legends. And these things are creepy to a level of like they have grit in their teeth.
Oh, that's awesome.
But real cool.
Well, this is one of my favorite things about going to BlizzCon every year. It's like, say, well, what new statues do they have?
Right. Like touring the effects shop at some, video production place. It's real neat.
Yeah.
So I think this whole hook conversation began because we saw the Butcher and we're like, but he's got
that's
hooks.
Exactly how it started. Yeah, that's exactly how it started. Was we were talking about the Butcher versus Stitches,
which has made me over the course of these weeks think, okay, so I just take that hero ability and I replace an actual hook with it. Oh, I see how it's basically the same thing, just changed around. I think the ultimate point is though, Stitches and Butcher are both going to have hooks, like real meat hooks. And they might even say fresh meat together as they high five and shoot out their hooks.
Yes, that's very true. They could just ignore the pulling hook at all, either to you or them to you or you to them, and just have, because he also has that frontal chain harpoon cone attack in that boss fight.
Yeah,
that just does damage. They could do that. I totally haven't been playing Diablo as a wizard, as a seasonal character or anything.
Or he could totally slam the ground and make it on fire and then leave a trail of fire behind him. Oh, wait, no Stitches.
That's right. I would like it if he just made like the fire zones, though. Like, just like slam down and just, the floor is now lava. Deal with it.
Skip it. Let's get Belial. That's what we really want. That fight's impossible.
It is a ridiculous fight.
You can wail on Diablo all night, but Belial's going to mess you up.
Yep. But yeah, anyway, thanks for your email, Ed. I really appreciate it. I'm glad that you like the MOBA comparison. We'll try and keep it well balanced. We're not going to sit here and just be like, Dota, 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 Dota.
Right. I tried to work some Smite into today, but instead I played 8 hours of Warframe. So this next week, I will play some Smite.
We'll bring on Jocelyn at some point, who is finally in the Heroes Alpha and plays a lot of Smite. We'll bring her on sometime.
Okay, good.
So anyways, that'll do it for this week's episode. Want to thank some of our Patreons, our patrons this week from Patreon. I will stumble over those two words. Patreon.com/ITN is the place to go if you want to support this show and help us put more effort into it. This week, I wanted to thank Sean O, Braska, Janus S, Pierce E, and Justin W. Thank you all very much for supporting Into the Nexus on Patreon. It's been great. It's been so wonderful. Thank you guys a million times. And also to those of you who are leaving us reviews in the iTunes store, because that's where our largest audience is, and it keeps growing every time someone leaves us a positive review. So big thanks to DHES34, who also said that you and I, Kyle, are directly responsible for all of the money that he has spent on Blizzard games.
Whoops, but you're welcome.
You're welcome. I guarantee you it isn't as much money as I have spent on Blizzard games. Although
your art book collection alone makes that statement.
They are $20 a pop. It's not that bad.
Oh, right. You buy them without the collector's edition.
Some of them. Only the Wrath of the Lich King and the original World of Warcraft one. Because those are the only WoW collector's editions I don't have.
And if you want to leave us reviews, nice ones on YouTube, that's okay as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Did you see that? The one comment that's just like, I'm giving you a 5-star on YouTube. Does that count? Yeah.
Yes.
You guys have been great on YouTube, by the way. We're not getting like the vitriolic, terrible comments. There's people on there just like talking about builds and stuff over at youtube.com/StarcastShow, which is where you can see all of the VODs from Into the Nexus and the other shows that I do.
I remember I even messaged you. I'm like, am I even on YouTube? What is this place?
People are remarkably friendly. That, and every now and then we get a real bad asset. I'm just like, oh, cool, delete.
Yep. I'll forget about that in a second.
Anyways, Into the Nexus, as always, is produced by amove.tv and our first producer-level backer, Declan H. Thank you very much, Declan, for your large contribution to the show. You can see more about this and all of the other amove shows at amove.tv. As I previously mentioned, VODs of the show are available at youtube.com/StarcastShow. The email is itncast@gmail.com. We're actually getting ahead on the emails, so send them in and fill that inbox back up, people. Catch us live every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on twitch.tv/amovetv. The mobile live stream is provided by alphageekradio.com. The show's Twitter is at ITNcast, where we, or at least I know, I'm addicted to Twitter, man. I read all these Twitter feeds like crack, so I will probably see whatever you tweeted us. So feel free to get vocal over there. Big thanks to Brian Griffith, the musician responsible for our intro music, which you can see a lot of his work over at briangriffithmusic.com. As for me personally, I can be found at Garrett Art on Twitter. That's at GARRETTART. My graphic design portfolio, along with a forum where you can contact me for possible freelance work, can be found at nomoonart.com. And check out the Angry Chicken Hearthstone podcast that I do. Kyle, what about you?
Well, you can follow me on Twitter at Kyle Ferguson with 2 S's. You can find me on AveMove Radio on Mondays, where we basically talk about, Star Wars half the time. But the other half of the time, we talk about what we're currently playing, what's going on in our lives. It's a real chill show. You should check it out on Monday nights.
I'm going to spoil this Monday's episode. I'm going to be talking about rewatching Avatar: The Last Airbender, The Wire Season 2, my excitement for Destiny the next day, and how much whiskey I've been drinking.
I will be discussing all the Disney movies I've watched because Kristen is sick, and how she, most adorably, sang the entire love song from Tangled and then promptly fell asleep.
Oh, Kristen.
While it was playing. The little lanterns were flying in the sky, and she was just passed out. Poor girl. You can also go over to kyleferguson.com, where you can find my voice acting portfolio. I do professional voice acting work, so if you have a video in mind that requires a voiceover, I'm your guy.
I'm pretty sure he would also do your voice message for pay. Just saying that. I'm just going to put that out there. I want to live in a world where everyone I call has a voicemail done by Kyle Ferguson.
Pretty much. Have I called myself? Yeah, hello.
Awesome. And just because we aren't running the ads at the top of the show doesn't mean these codes are any less awesome. Check out doghousesystems.com and tweakedaudio.com and use the code ITN, because it'll get you double memory on your next Doghouse Systems gaming rig, as well as 30% off and free shipping off of your entire order of noise-reducing earbuds over at tweakedaudio.com. We thank them for their codes. We thank you for your ear holes, which I need to stop saying. Everyone says ear holes, and it still sounds bad.
Yeah.
So that's my mid-year resolution. Stop saying ear holes. But thanks for listening.
You're a little late.
What was that?
Mid-year, you're a little late.
Mid-year? That's only September. I guess
three-quarter year.
I guess it's 3/4 year
Just save it for Christmas.
resolution. Yeah, whatever. Screw it. I'm gonna try to stop saying that as much. Thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next week for episode 20 of Into the Nexus. But until then, good luck and have fun.
Take care.